courthouse. We're halfway through day 6 of U.S. versus Sean Combs. On the stand in the morning, Don Richard, previously of Danity Kane and Diddy Dirty Money. She testified, as she had on Friday, about witnessing violence against Cassie Ventura, etc. Then on cross, they switched it up. They brought in their new lawyer from Georgia, the 9th member of the dream team for Sean Combs, Nicole Westmoreland, straight off the YSL trial down in Atlanta. And I have to say, she went hard at Dawn Richard. She questioned her about her 3500 material, interviews that she'd done with the government in which she hadn't said that she saw the alleged assault, that she hadn't, various inconsistencies. I mean, it's very hard to tell the same story exactly the same way, but she really highlighted for the jury some inconsistencies in the various tales. But Dawn Richard, to her credit, said like things she remembered more the more she thought about it. There were also questions about her civil suit, and that she had a monetary message. Next witness, and still on the stand as when we go in after the break, Carrie Morgan, the best, quote unquote, best friend of Cassie Ventura, although he hasn't.
This was this morning.
He hasn't spoken to her.
Like a recap in the morning half.
Since 2018, when Sean Combs assaulted Carrie Morgan. She ran through various violent incidents, including one in Jamaica, in which she said Cassie Ventura had been dragged by the hair, and Carrie Morgan and Sean Combs both got on golf carts and went in different directions looking for her. There's going to be some cross. I think it's going to be done by Agnifilo. We'll see how it goes. Some are saying that maybe Westmoreland should have done the cross of Cassie. This is it's not without just saying in terms of how it was done. It was done in quite an aggressive way, and we'll just have to see. Now, in last week, Inner City Press, we filed an application saying that there's far too much not going into the docket. Every morning, the lawyers argue and talk about what they put in overnight to the judge, and none of it's in the docket. So we filed it. Nothing was said until today. Judge Sermadian said, we have an application from the press that everything should be docketed, everything that you've done so far, redacted as necessary, and file it next Tuesday. What, in 8 days? And thereafter, once a week. I don't think that's how it's supposed to go. I guess the idea is that it's delayed so that they can redact things, but I haven't seen such a delay on docketing, so we'll just have to see. We might have to file again, but for now, we have to go back in. We've put up an ebook. It's on Google Play for reasons that I've explained elsewhere, and we're going to keep doing that every week. That'll be a kind of a fact check of people that claim that things were said, and sometimes even attributed to us false.
Okay. Lauren Conlin. Oh, wait, that's not her name. Lauren Conlin. I'll tell you about it. We're going to do just a little mini. They ended the trial early today, apparently.
Diddy trial. I'm going to make this super fast.
This is from this morning.
Short lunch break. But Diddy came in this morning, really seemed to be in good spirits, hugged his lawyer, Alexandra Shapiro, and Mark Agnifilo. And they had some discussions about witnesses getting certain testimonies struck. And at one point, Mark Agnifilo said something along the lines of that, this case is becoming based on gossip. He brought up the fact that there is a chef, Diddy's chef, is expected to testify, who was allegedly assaulted. And Agnifilo says, well, where is this in the indictment? This has nothing to do with racketeering, etc. And the government came back and said, look, the chef is a victim of forced labor. And there was a lot of discussion around this, but I want to give you one little piece of that before we go to Dawn Richard finishing her direct examination. Now, I'm going to make this kind of general, but Dawn Richard, she testified about the Cassie skillet incident with Diddy. And she said that after she witnessed this, that both Diddy and Harve Pierre, they kind of threatened her at 2 different times. And one of the last things Diddy had said to her, according to Dawn Richard, was, if you tell, people go missing.
Go take care of you.
During the cross-examination, which was done by Diddy's female attorney, Nicole Westmoreland, and I thought she was effective, but she was a little nervous seeming at first. That's just my opinion. She forgot to say objection, but I mean, again, that's just why I kind of thought she was nervous. But she pointed out that about 7 of Dawn Richard's prior conversations with the government, she left that part out. The whole people go missing part.
Oh, the people go missing. I thought it was.
And Dawn Richard would get this transcript. She would look at it and be like, I mean, I don't know. Like there was a note taker there, but I don't know why that I didn't say it. You know, she admitted that her memory has changed throughout the years. And then the government, you know, got her to elicit during their redirect that, well, your memory has changed because you've tried to suppress these bad memories for so long. And then we kind of helped you elicit these memories by talking about your trauma and doing all these interviews. So yeah, defense went on to say, well, okay, so let's say you met with them 8 times. You really only remembered this alleged death threat the 8th time. They showed her a transcript, I believe, from April or May of 2025, where she did say, you know, people go missing. They also called her out, the defense called her out on another, I guess, statement from her civil lawsuit, where she had described Diddy pulling Cassie out of a car by the hair and dragging her onto the grass, and a lot of people saw. And Don Richard said, oh no, that was something that my lawyers, they messed up on. It was a miscommunication, excuse me. And then the government got, during their redirect, to say, well, you were actually thinking of another violent incident, so it wasn't completely made up. Let's see what else. So Don Richard talked about how, you know, she worked with Diddy from 2004 to 2009 with Danity Kane, and then 2009 to 2011 on the Dirty Money Group. And she left in 2011, and she described, you know, Diddy would call her on FaceTime sometimes to check in, and Don said, you know, the best thing to do to kind of, you know, keep him at arm's length or keep him happy was just be nice and polite and cordial. Well, the defense kind of got up there and said, well, didn't you call him and try to work with him after that?
That's right.
And
that's right.
She, you know, at that point was forced to say yes. And so she did, I guess, reach out and initiate communication several times first. And then the government, when they did their redirect, they got it out of her that she only reached out to him because of Kalena Harper, essentially, and Kalena wanted her to. And then it got a little spicy with Nicole Westmoreland and Don Richard at one point. Sorry, my papers. Because she said something like, you know, you were very successful when you were with Sean Combs, Danity Kane, you know, Dirty Money, and talking about how she sold all these albums. And she alluded to the fact, and she actually said the words, no offense, but you haven't sold nearly as many albums since then. And I'm paraphrasing. And then at one point, Westmoreland kind of said, you know, you were successful. And Don Richard was like,
you ain't nothing now. Once upon a time ago, you ain't nothing now.
I am successful. So it was kind of like this little moment, I guess. I was like, ooh. And then, yeah, they talked about how she, you know, she filed a civil suit after Cassie. And I was a little surprised that Don Richard didn't really seem to know much about her civil suit, what her attorneys wrote in it. She really seemed to not, I don't want to say she was elusive, because she really seemed to genuinely not know. I want to make sure I didn't, oh my gosh, I'm almost forgetting. A crazy celebrity name was dropped today. Oh my gosh, I can't believe, there's so many notes I almost forgot. Usher. Don Richard said that Usher witnessed Diddy punch Cassie in the stomach at a dinner in LA. And there was another, Jimmy Ovine was mentioned. And I think there was a Neil something. I didn't quite get this, so maybe look.
Is this the afternoon update? That was this morning. Yeah, that was the lunch break.
Out for that name. But Don Richard said that they were at this dinner in LA, and this is who was in attendance.
You got it bad when you're running to. Ain't nothing right.
And Diddy punched Cassie in the stomach, and then she left, and she was like embarrassed, and then he kind of like choked her or something on the way home.
Oh no!
But yeah, she said Usher was there, so I'm assuming Usher saw this. We don't know if Usher saw it with his own eyes, but he was at this dinner.
We're gonna need you to testify, Usher.
And the government also made a point after all of these questions. The government would say something, or about the violence or whatever. The government would say, well, who of Diddy's employees were there? They would always want to know which employees were there, if any, and there always was a bodyguard, assistant, whatever, present. She also testified about this drug dealer named One Stop, who would sell Plan B and birth control.
Yeah, they threw One Stop. This is still a recap from this morning, guys, by the way, if you missed this morning. We're about to jump into the afternoon. The afternoon was short, though. I think they cut it early today. They snitched on One Stop. Oh man, drug dealer bringing in birth control and stuff.
And come to the studio.
Oh.
And she also corroborated Diddy's LV med bag that he kept his drugs in. And she testified that Diddy wore a gun in his back pocket, and that scared her. Then the defense came up and said, how many times did you see this gun? Basically insinuating that, you worked with him for over a decade. You only really saw this gun 2 or 3 occasions that she testified. And then they said, did you see him take it out? Did you see him wave it around? Did he threaten you with it? And she said no. Defense ended their cross, or their recross, I should say, just by asking Dawn what she wanted out of the civil suit. And Dawn, she would say, she wants justice. She wants to be compensated for the work she did with Diddy. And they'd be like, okay, so you want money? And then she was like, yes. I think she was like, done. I'm done. And then we saw the start of Carrie Morgan's testimony.
Get that bag, girl.
Carrie Morgan is Cassie's friend, her former best friend, a model. They were friends from 2001 to 2018. And this is the friend that Diddy allegedly hit over the head with a wooden hammer. Oh my gosh, I have to hurry up.
Wooden hammer? No, it wasn't a wooden hanger.
And okay, so I'm gonna make this
I think she meant
general for now, because I'm gonna make another video later.
That's funny, the wooden hammer.
Carrie Morgan testified that there was an incident where, there's a couple. There was an incident in Jamaica where Diddy got mad at Cassie for taking too long in the bathroom, and when she came out, they went to the hallway. They rented this house in Jamaica, and Cassie let out some guttural screams. She described them as guttural and terrifying. And they ran away and hid in a ditch for what quote, felt like hours. I'm trying to think. I think I wrote that down with Cassie. They hid behind a tractor. I'll have to double check that. But also, just really quick, last thing before I run for now, and I'm sure I forgot things, but I'll go back later. But last thing, Carrie Morgan was at Cassie's house during the 2016, after the beatdown at the Intercontinental. She describes Cassie coming home with the hood, a black eye, puts her bags down, basically, and said that Cassie was kind of despondent. And then she described Diddy as showing up 30 minutes later, banging on the door with a hammer.
Like a nut job with the hammer.
Somehow throughout all this, Carrie Morgan doesn't know how, but the police were called. The police show up. They ask for Carrie Morgan's ID. She gives it to them. They ask for Cassie's. Cassie doesn't give it to them. And they end up leaving a card. The detective leaves a card and they leave. And Carrie, we were shown a Celebrate communication between Carrie Morgan and Christina Coram, Diddy's chief of staff, talking about this. And I have to go back through it and look, because she sent him a picture of the card, and she was kind of saying, look, I'm not used to all this. This is really intense. But yeah, and you can tell, by the way, Carrie Morgan, she's very cooperative, but it's just clear. She's like, I have moved on with my life. I do not want to be here.
I'm not interested. All right, so they came back this afternoon. That was the morning half. And I was a little surprised because before we ended that last live stream of the press conference, which I thought was kind of a little boring and slow, but not even just that, just didn't really give much of anything that we didn't already know. But right as I hit end stream, I saw it said the day was over, and that was at 4:00. So it's they ended an hour early today, I think. Anyway, so let's continue from where we left off earlier. So they took a lunch break, and they came back. And after that, they came back from lunch. It says, judge says, if I let this is, Miss Ventura can be recalled as a witness. Prosecutor says, I doubt that we would call her. Judge says the defense could call her back to the stand. Prosecutor says, I doubt that she would be available. Of course they don't want her back. Judge says the evidence is out. Judge says, I anticipate Mr. David Jams will be the next witness. How is he relevant? Prosecution says, as to the means and methods of the enterprise, Mr. Combs, threatening to assault employees. While waiting for the jury to come back in, here is a court art of Combs' second Georgia lawyer, Nicole Westmoreland, as she cross-examined Don Richard. That was from this morning. That's cool. So the jury enters. Prosecution says no further questions for Miss Morgan. Cross. Agnifilo, the defense says, you were Miss Ventura's best friend since 2004. Actually, 2001, she said. We met waiting for the Polaroids to develop. I was living in Buffalo and she was in Connecticut. Then you were both in NYC. Carrie says, I stayed downtown. She moved to Harlem. Have you ever met Kim Porter? Yes, probably at a concert. Was Cassie ever jealous? Yes. And the other way, Carrie Morgan says, Cassie was speaking with Michael B. Jordan and Sean got jealous. She was trying to leave him. You were both using drugs? She says, no, we were in South Africa. Did you learn about Gina? Yes. He was having a full-on relationship with this little girl. Oh, damn. Combs Agnifilo says, the defense, why do you call her that? She acts like that. She's younger than us. When you say Sean came and hammered on the door, why did the police come? Carrie says, they said because of the noise. What did they say to you? Cassie was visibly injured, but she didn't say anything. Agnifilo says, you two were best friends for 18 years, but now you haven't spoken to her since 2018. That's true. I'm surprised too the cops came there, that she was visibly injured and they just walked away. Okay, no problem. I don't know. Carrie said that's true. Agnifilo says, at the danger of being capital obvious, that's a long time, she's moved on. Objection, prosecution says. Combs, the defense says, why haven't you spoken with her? Carrie Morgan says, she did not support me after Sean assaulted me. I draw that line at assault. I guess I try that line at assault. Agnifilo says, you reached a settlement with Miss Ventura? Morgan says the money came from Mr. Combs. Agnifilo shows Carrie Morgan photos and asks, do you know if Louise Hayes is a self-help author about self-affirmation? Yes. Why did you send this with the words of encouragement? I don't remember sending it. Defense says, okay. Defense says, I want to show you a few more photos, but first let's talk about the incident where he put his hands on your neck. Were you and Cassie using any drugs at the time? No. What did he say? He said, who is she cheating with? You went to an urgent care and not the hospital? Right. But you don't, the prosecutors, what? But you don't, the prosecutors, it was bloody. I guess you told them. And you went to the hospital. I don't remember that. Look at this. 3,500 material not shown to the jury. Carrie says, I see that I said that. Now, cross-examination. Prosecution Foster says, do you remember Mr. Agnifilo asking you about an incident in L.A.? Defense says, objection. Judge overruled. Prosecution says, and he hit her like in Jamaica, arguing about jealousy. Prosecution says, what happened in Jamaica? Carrie says he dragged Cassie by her hair, a 50-yard hallway. Was he talking about jealousy? No, he said he spent too long in the bathroom. Nothing further. Any cross? Defense says, now, next witness, David James. Why are you here? I've been subpoenaed. Were you Combs' personal assistant from 2007 to 2009? Who is that in this photo? That is David James. That is yourself? Yes. I went to college in Michigan. Later, I faxed my resume to Bad Boy. Where was the interview? On 1710 Broadway. Who'd you meet? Tommy, his sister Keisha, and others. How did they test you? They gave me 40 appointments and asked me to make a schedule. You had to know, for example, what time a particular show on Hot 97 came on. What did Mr. Combs ask you? To make a spreadsheet for Miami. Okay. I said I'd know his food and restaurant preferences. He asked me why I'd make a good assessment. I said I can't stop, won't stop. I got the job. Did you have others? Miss Robles, Mr. Barber, and others. What would you do as an assistant? Bad Boy to 5, then out to dinner, then to the studio to 3 a.m. We'd get a call at the end of the night. Did you travel with Mr. Combs as well? Yes. Who were the security staff? D-Rock, Bonds, Uncle Paulie. You worked 20 hours a day? Yes, security did too. So they worked all day long. What did security staff tell you? To stay in my lane. Who said that? Bond and Uncle Paulie. Focusing on his personal chef. Who is is, I guess he or she, Chef Jordan Atkinson. Did Mr. Combs have girlfriends then? Kim Porter, Sarah, Tara, Yana, and Cassie. Damn. Made me think of that DMX song. Isha, Karanda, Shonda, LaRonda. David James says, we were on Star Island. Carrie Morgan was there too. Cassie said, this lifestyle is crazy. I asked, why don't you leave? She said, Sean controls my life, my music. He pays my apartment. Next conversation. It was about her music, but the album never came out. Did you overhear a conversation? Yes. Mr. Combs said, Kim is my queen out in LA with my family. He said, I have Cassie right where I want her. She's young and moldable. Ooh. Your Honor, how much longer do you want to go? This would be a good place to break. We'll break for the day. That's it? Damn. That's it? Beam, bop, boom, bop, beam, bop, bam. The type of, you wouldn't understand. Wow, that's it? That's it, Papi. Papi Chulo, that's it. What the? Let's check out Lauren's afternoon break. I cannot believe it. Let's see the lunch break. Let's see what she had to say.
All right, I'm going to give you the afternoon update of day 6 of the Diddy trial. Afternoon started with the cross-examination of Carrie Morgan, Cassie's former best friend, and that was done by Mark Agnifilo. I always think that he comes across super likable and approachable. He's like the guy, the dad next door. They seem to share a few laughs. Mark used phrases like Captain Obvious, describing things, made the jury laugh a few times as well. And he asked about their friendship. He asked about the dynamic between the three of them. Morgan testified that they had good times. They obviously had some not so great times, but she overall has some good memories. And he brought up Kim Porter, said, did you hear Cassie talk about her being jealous of Kim Porter? And Carrie Morgan said that Cassie was jealous because she couldn't go to the New Year's Eve parties. She described Cassie going to the studio for work, and at this point, I think that Carrie had testified during direct that Diddy controlled a lot of her life. He controlled, her music career, and she only...
Damn, they said there's 2 jurors in the trial yesterday were shown... Wait, what? Were yesterday shown images of the sex parties. How was that yesterday? What? One of these articles. Juror recoiled in shock as they were shown photos.
They put out one album and things that we had heard, and then Agnifilo seemingly wanted to highlight through Carrie Morgan, well, he was booking her studio time. He was setting her up with artists that were more successful than her at the time. And then she listed, he said, do you remember any of them? And she said, yeah.
Check this out, brodies. Check this out. They got a lot of pictures over here, though. Oh, man. Hell nah. Check this out. Check this out, pimpin'. Oh, this is horrible. Shocking pics of Cassie's brutal injuries revealed after being shown as evidence. New shocking photos showing Cassie Ventura's gruesome injuries at the hands of her longtime boyfriend, Sean Diddy Combs. They got pictures. Oh, Diddy. Oh, no, Diddy. This is the sunglasses selfie she took in an Uber ride after leaving the Intercontinental Hotel March 5th, 2016. Wearing big black sunglasses to conceal her black eye and her swollen lips from the notorious beating. Yeah, her lip is swollen. Ooh, Diddy, this is not good. This is not good. Look at that. The images are part of a growing body of material aimed at demonstrating patterns of alleged abuse and control in the case. Oh, no, Diddy. Oh, the evidence came out as during the Me and You Singers harrowing 4 days of testimony. Oh, no. 8 images shown to the jury last week of the R&B singer, including one showing a bloody gash on her eyebrow. Oh, Cassie. He's toast. He's toast. Oh shoot! I gotta take the chat away too for a second. Oh my gosh. There's more pictures up here. Hold on a second. Oh man. So feds found stacks of cash. Okay, we know that. What's on the eye drops? Is it really eye drops? Did he had come to the Big Apples negotiate to a surrender with the feds? Klonopin. Oh, you're taking that Klonopin. Bags of pink drugs are found in the hotel room. Got that pink stuff, that pinky binky. Bad Boy Records, bad boy. Got them pills and pink powder. Jolly, is that really Jolly Rancher or is that something else? Jolly Rancher, what does that say? Something.com? What does that say? Oh, man. Lubrication and pills. Lube all over the place. It's leaked out in the drawer and stuff. Oh. Damn. More baby oil. Lots of baby oil. New publicized images show baby oil. Oh, man. Baby oil, personal lubricant, and bags of pink drugs. Oh, this might be Cialis over there. Boy, got the Cialis going. A slew of photos. Wow, look at that. Astroglide, Johnson & Johnson baby oil. Ooh. Bottles of pills, baby oil, thousands of dollars in cash. Look at that. Man, look at this shit, boy. That boy crazy. We got a knife in the doorway. Cassie says she had locked herself in the apartment to protect herself from Diddy. Photos made public a pic of Large Chef's knife in the handle of a door, which Sean Diddy Combs' long then-time girlfriend Cassie said was used to protect herself from him. Jeez. Diddy's not looking good, Diddy. Oh, hell nah. You scrambling and scraping.
I like when you
oh.
scraping for shit. I like that.
Oh, Diddy, man. Oh. How about this? Why is this working? Oh, she said there's a volume issues. We'll record another one.
Accepted it.
Oh, man.
Draw the line at, and kind of. Sorry, I had to silence another call. So. Yeah, so she sent him this affirmation, I guess, and I mean, it was just kind of showing that she cared about him. And then the defense asked her, well, isn't it true that Mr. Combs would try to get Cassie to do less drugs? And she actually, Carrie Morgan actually said yes, that he sent her to Mexico to try to detox. And I think this had to do with the testimony about going to Mexico for this illegal plant or whatever it was that helps you get off drugs. I'm looking.
I think he might be toast, man. What you guys think?
Oh, okay. So then they clarified the 2018 hangar incident and kind of why Cassie and Carrie aren't friends and what exactly happened. So Carrie testified that Diddy walked in and kind of yelled, "Who is she cheating with? Who is she cheating with?" He grabbed her by the neck and then hit her on the head with this wooden hanger. And she said that after this, they weren't friends. Cassie and Carrie weren't friends because Cassie didn't act like it was a big deal and didn't take Carrie's side. And Carrie said, I draw the line at physical abuse. And Agnifilo like, yeah, and would you say Cassie doesn't, type of thing? And then it turns out they discussed this lawsuit or this settlement, and it wasn't exactly a lawsuit or a settlement. I guess Carrie Morgan did contact a lawyer at one point, but then she testified that Cassie called a meeting with her at a pizza place and discussed giving her $30,000 on behalf of Diddy, just to make it all go away and sign an NDA and not go through lawyers. Carrie said she accepted it. And let me see. Oh, and then Mark Agnifilo was like, so Sean Combs wasn't there for this, blah, blah, blah. He made sure to really hammer that in. And then there wasn't a lot during the redirect after Carrie Morgan, I think it was mainly the government trying to just remind us that Carrie Morgan did see these really violent things happen to Cassie. She saw her face, she saw what happened, and they wanted to leave that in our minds. Sorry for the darkness. Again, a lot of tunnels. So the next witness was David James, a former personal assistant of Diddy's, and he looked so nervous, I felt like, when he was walking up to the stand.
David
and
James, yeah.
Diddy kind of looked him up and down, not in an intimidating way, but like really kind of stared at him, in my opinion. And he cried on the stand, by the way.
Wow,
he definitely was like, had some tears. And he cried specifically when he was talking about his interview to become a personal assistant. He said that the head of HR, Vashta, pointed to a picture of Diddy on the wall and said, I'm finding the quote, and said, this is Mr. Combs' oh, sorry. He said, this is Mr. Combs. This is Mr. Combs' kingdom. We're here to serve him. And that's when he teared up and they offered him like a tissue and stuff. So he worked for Diddy between May of 2007 and May of 2009. He talked about Diddy's like his schedule and what he had to do for Diddy on a daily basis. And he said that he worked from 8 a.m. sometimes to 4 a.m. and he was paid $70,000, and testified he did get overtime, but we don't know how much. And he said that part of his schedule was to arrive at Diddy's house before he wakes for a, quote, successful day. Then he would file some business docs or put them out in front of him to kind of approve or sign. He would put a calendar out for him. He would put all his press bookings out. He would turn on the TV to his preferred channel. He would work with his chef for breakfast, and then he would knock on the door to see if Diddy was ready to wake up. Then if he was, he would get him all settled. Then when it was time to go, he would get security and then accompany him to all his meetings during the day, dinner, studio time. And dinner could be with anybody, business or pleasure. And then after studio time, it was a new destination. And then he said that they would figure out a call time for the next day that he would text out to the rest of the staff, depending on whatever was going on that night. So it was a lot. He testified that some security carried a switchblade. He testified about a bunch of Diddy's girlfriends. He named Kim Porter, Sarah, Tara, Yana, and Cassie. He talked about meeting Cassie on a yacht. He talked about how Cassie was like, wow, this is a crazy lifestyle. Like, I can't get over it. And how he told Cassie to get out, but she said she couldn't because Diddy paid for everything and controlled everything. Sorry, I'm hurrying. It's been almost 10 minutes. Witnesses we're about to see this week: Cassie's mom.
It's coming up.
The Chef Atkinson.
Ooh, Chef.
And
okay.
Charvet Hay. I wrote it down and now I can't find it, and now there's no time left. But I will. I'll do an update either tomorrow or later. Or put on.
Okay, so it sounds like a potentially pretty interesting week. Today, I don't think was really that crazy. Some interesting stuff, but then they cut the day short today. I was a little surprised they cut the day short. But I guess that's it. So tomorrow I plan, let's do the same thing, I guess. Just kind of catch up. And we'll cover a bunch of other stories too as well. And I guess that's it for now. I think I'm going to chill and try to reset a little bit. Or mess around in the garden. I don't know. Oh. Okay. All right, guys, I will hit you up later. Thank you so much for hanging out. It's not looking good for Diddy. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. All right. Bye. Anthony Bourdain was into all that. Went to the same restaurants, places, and parties. It said that they likely. No way, Anthony Bourdain. Oh, I used to like watching that guy on the train or traveling around watching the shows of him eating stuff. See you in 10 minutes. All right, guys. Bye. Bloop, 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 boop, 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 boop.